That's right, the Psychic Cafe. Come on in, grab your latte or a cup of tea, pull up a chair, and let's hang out for a while. And we have the fabulous Kooch Daniels with us, author extraordinaire.
Hi, Kooch.
Kooch, it's been a while. I mean, the last time you and I talked live was a couple years.
At least
Mm,
I pretty much had my head focused on the computer since then. I was
yeah,
writing and writing and writing and writing because that's the only way you get books done. You have to like shut out the whole world and pretend nothing exists except your computer. And that's how you can get a book written pretty much.
right, right. I mean, it
That's
actually
really
might have
good
been back.
advice.
It might have been back when you were doing Cosmic Cafe on the network. Cooch used to be on our network doing Cosmic Cafe, and that's going
Oh,
back 5, 6 years, you know.
that was before
Mm.
I
That
joined.
was
So much fun, Jax. That was really a fun show. I love it. I love that I did it.
Mm-hmm. So I got to ask you, this is, I don't know, this is the question that's been, since we knew we were going to interview you about your new book. And oh, Michelle, show the book. You
I
guys
beat her
got your
to it.
copies?
Yes, she
Stones,
did.
Hearts, and Stones. Yeah. Now, Michelle has really gone through this book. I mean, she's using it like a textbook.
I have probably,
She's writing things in it. And
yeah, I have notes all in here. I've underlined, I've,
but ever since I knew that we were going to do this interview, I had to ask because of all the books you've done and, ones with your husband and everything. And why another book, Cooch?
it's beyond me because it's totally crazy. And I somebody said, "Oh, you're so goal oriented," and I went, "Not really. It's just like I'm obsessed, and there's this urge, and it takes me over, and I lose all common sense because I know what a commitment it is, and I know how I have to block out my life and be a hermit and
Mm-hmm.
just focus to get books out there." And it's like, who would want to do that? That's destructive, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
think I hear a voice from outer space and they say, "Okay, you're going to get this done." And because it's not really, there's no logic to it. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure my life could be really full of other things like playing and having some fun times. But I mean, I just came back from a vacation. As soon as I finished that book, I was like, my
Yay.
last, I just finished another one, Dax. I don't want to tell anybody because they're going to think I'm crazy.
Oh my gosh. No, that's okay. We love
And
prolific writers.
yeah,
Dan in the chat, Michelle's husband just said spirit guided her maybe.
yes, yes, yes,
Making you right.
yes. It has to be. That's the only
Mhm.
thing. It has to be that way. There's no reason to it.
But this
Mhm.
time it's different. It's actually interesting. Stars, cards, and stones. So we're talking astrology, card reading, tarot, and runestones. Why
And
that combination?
divination. We're
Why
talking divination,
divination? Yeah.
helping people do divination. Yes.
So tell us about, coming up with the idea for the book.
If anybody thinks that books are like, an overnight process,
Mhm.
this book, I was a reader at the Renaissance Fair for 25 years, and I'd have my runes on the table and my tarot cards on my table. And I was always like astrology driven. So they were always getting mixed up. So the idea was actually planted probably about 35 years ago when I was like seeing how they always lined up and how I could overlay them on top of one another. And then I started writing about it. And I hate to tell you how many rejections I had initially.
Ooh,
Don't tell Schiffer that.
okay.
But I think my first rejection was like something like 1998 or something.
Goodness.
But what I think it was rejected is because there weren't enough tarot readers putting a demand out there saying tarot is our world. As now there's so many open-minded people to the
Oh yeah.
tarot. So it makes everything else more acceptable. And I think everybody
Absolutely.
had to just catch up a little bit to being able to accept tarot for this concept to be acceptable.
Mhm.
Oh, and sidebar on that, because what popped in my head just now, how like I just started binge watching a show called The Irrationals. The Irrational. The Irrational? Yeah. And he's a professor and psychology and all that kind of thing. And sure enough, within a couple of episodes into I think the first season, I think I'm on the second season now, there's his sister pulling tarot cards. you know, every show, I swear to God, I've got like lists of sometimes I've actually saved the clips from all these shows I've watched that all have at least one episode where the tarot shows up in the last shows in the last, say, 5 years or so. And it's just amazing how it's going mainstream. I mean, almost to the point that every show has, maybe not every movie, but every show on TV has to have tarot cards show up somehow, some way. It's so different than when we
We're so groovy. We didn't even know how groovy we were when we've been doing this for how many decades now, Dax?
Right.
And Michelle, I don't know how long when you started, but I'm like, this goes back a long time
It does.
when I started doing it in my early 20s, I would get
Mhm.
booted out of places because I was working for the devil, or this is just,
Yes.
this is dirty work. Get out of our prestigious environment. I had to
Very
live through like a
persecuted.
number of those.
Mhm.
yeah,
And
and
now it's so popular.
And that was only 20 years ago, 15
yeah,
years
not
ago.
that long, you know,
Yeah,
15
that I was
years and
persecuted.
beyond, 30 years. I mean, it's God, we were doing tarot when it wasn't cool yet.
Yeah. Yep. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, we were.
Yeah. So Michelle, you're the one that's been, devouring this book. What
Oh
question
my
you got for
goodness.
Kooch?
Ah,
Ah. So
the stress is on.
the
Be
stress
gentle
is
on yourself.
on. Okay. The first thing that I really loved was, I have to tell you, how you call your partner your star aligned partner. And I noticed that that is in the very beginning of the book. Um, it's on page 7. I have lots of notes for you here. Um, and I believe it's on page 7. And you count your bless I count my blessings for my star aligned partner, Victor Daniels. And I found that to be absolutely beautiful. And I just wanted to mention that first because a lot of people don't realize your partner, if you allow them to be,
Mhm.
can be your star aligned partner.
Mm.
If you are in tune with each other, that is just a really, to me, a beautiful statement of what a very powerful couple can be like. And I just wanted to thank you for
Mich-
putting that in there because I
Mich-
find that encouraging.
Michelle
Yes,
and Cooch and Victor Daniels, and your husband is Daniel.
Daniel.
We're all aligned. We're all aligned.
Yes.
But astrologically, one of the compatible cosmic connections is if your sun and moon are conjunct. That
Uh-huh.
means like they sit right within each other's orbs, and they're kind of like
Yes.
kissing in the sky. I have that with my partner, and I think that really helps to have that cosmic alignment. But
Mm.
also, he's accepted me for being the weirdo when everybody else was poo-pooing me for being a weirdo, telling me like I was
Yes.
out of my mind or what's wrong with me. And he was accepting. And this man has a background in science. So here he
Right.
is accepting this fortune teller. 'Cause I was way more fortune teller-ish when I was younger, because
Mhm.
that's
That's where we
That's
all
how I know
start.
I stood out than everybody else, I think. I don't know, but you know, and I really feel like his acceptance of me gave me permission to not have to do conventional work and try to be
Right.
like fit in with his crowd that didn't like me. So I just feel like there's definitely when people accept you for when people accept you for who you are and let you be who you want to be without trying to change you, that's major in a relationship.
It
So I
really
feel like,
is.
By the way, I love when my orbs are aligned. Anyway,
yeah, you've got some good orbs, Dax.
but as the years went on, Cooch, uh, those two worlds started coming together because I remember, you know, the reader studio and when you guys had the psychology world coming together with the tarot world. You even did a whole book on that.
Yes, it's called Tarot at a Crossroads, the unexpected meeting of the tarot and psychology. And I, he would come to my tarot conventions when we were trucking around, and I would go to his psychological conventions.
Mm-hmm.
And I luckily had a tarot and archetypal workshop accepted, and I took my tarot cards to his more scientific academic convention. And you have to believe the room was standing room only. They were everywhere. People were like so wanting to like get in touch with this kind of information. And he realized that I was onto something because he was like, how did you get all these people to come to your workshop? And I was like, this stuff is so, it touches deep into the soul and the psyche, and people are just needing to like move away from the structural straight and narrow definition of what we're more about to being more in touch with the depth and diving deeper to find secrets that you can only tune into on a subconscious level. And the cards open that doorway. And then he started getting more on board with me. And then
Mm-hmm.
we did classes together on psychology, the psychology of tarot. And that's where that book came out of, as far
Nice.
as the Tarot at a Crossroads. And then he wanted to write it because he's the psychologist. And I went, wait. I started this whole concept. Wait, this was my work before it became your work.
Damn it,
So
I
we were,
invented
we
this.
argue about stuff, but we both worked on that one.
There you go,
Wow.
Michelle. Your next book, Tarot at a Crossroads.
I love it. I'm gonna
Grab a
write that
copy.
down. Tarot, the Crossroads. Okay.
It's genuine, you know. I mean, all of the books that I've worked on have come out of, okay, everybody, you know, the gray hair, you know, it's like 5 decades. 5 decades is 50 years. I didn't start writing books until like the last 20 years. So it
Mm.
was 30 years of working and understanding and putting concepts together. And then the first book came out of Victor and my desire to do a book together. And he had been wanting to do something more erotic, and I had been wanting to do the tarot. And I had my first tarot major rejections on a book. And I asked a prolific writer, how do you get these books accepted? And he said, put the word sex in the title. So strangely enough, I put the word sex in the title. Victor was on board that we were writing this intimate book about the tarot together.
Mm-hmm.
And like within 2 weeks, I had an acceptance after having like, you know, numerous rejections over a couple years.
What was the full
So
title of that one that had sex in it again?
yeah, see, you want to know.
I'm trying to
I can't
remember that
even
one.
tarot. Oh God, I need to go get my tarot books.
Oh,
Tarot d'Amour.
oh
And
yeah,
it's for
yeah.
Valentine's. It's a perfect Valentine book. This is Valentine weeks, and that's like the perfect book because it's all about love and
Mm-hmm.
all the different suits that are lined up with the earth, the pentacles, or the swords, the mind, or fire, enterprise. I put all of that energy into how does it weave with emotional interest. So the whole book is a focus on using the cards to find out more about your love life. And people have been really rude to me because I had the like my community I'm sorry. I love my community and I'm so happy to be part of a community. But when that book came out, I got in trouble because I put that. There's a lot of people that kind of like block the word sex. So
Yeah.
even though it opened the door for me getting someone wanting the book, I also got kind of poo-pooed on for being one of those kind of people.
Well,
So people have
it said Diamore. It's like it didn't say sex, sex and
I know
tarot.
sex was in the subtitle though, Dax. It was in the
Well,
subtitle.
I don't even read
And
subtitles.
there's a lot of prudes out there. I'm sorry. The
There's a
prudes
lot of
still exist
prudes.
in the world.
There
Yeah.
really
Even though we want to
is.
think we're all open-minded,
A lot
there's
of them
still
are tarot
prudes.
readers too. Mm.
I crossed a line. Some people were very like excited, but some people definitely thought I crossed the line. So
I loved
I
it.
walk around
I
with, like a
loved
little
it.
embarrassment, like, oh no, I shamed myself. I put out my dirty underwear, for everybody to see. That's
So
play, not books later, Dax. I'm okay. I'm
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Good.
So
That's the book that had the word sex in it. And that was my first, like,
that's how you get them, though.
Hmm.
yeah, that's how I got my foot in the door. I got my foot in the door. And the
Stars,
thing with
cards, and
publishing,
stones. Michelle, jump in with your questions.
Okay.
oh yeah,
And so I am curious how you, let's see here. Can you explain where you got your archetypes from? How did you come up with the fit for your archetypes in your book here? Um, I had it written down and now I can't find the page.
there.
So,
We just talked about my first book that was like 2003, I think it came out. There was the whole list of archetypes in that book. So I I was in transpersonal psychology and I got a degree in that. And one of my favorite professors was into archetypes, and I studied with him and the Jungian perceptions of the mind. And so I would just play with that. And there's a woman, Susan, I forget her last name. She had a book on tarot and archetypes.
Mm.
And I read her book, but you can never copy anybody without getting into trouble. So, but there's like, at this point, there's a number of tarot books that are focused on archetypes. And so there's a lot of talk about them. But my thing came out of like my studies when I was in school, learning more about the archetypes. And then I said earlier, even in this program, that I was teaching archetypes to an academic group in relation to the tarot. And that's how I got my tarot and archetypes, my tarot into the academic setting, was with the word archetypes. So I was playing with the concept. But what you need to know is, if I say that the hermit is the sage, another person might call him the shaman archetype. So there's not just what you don't have to like limit to like there's only one archetype, because archetypes live in your dreams. They live in the collective subconscious. And we're not limited to like only one. Or if we take the Empress, and the Empress is the mother in when you're doing keywords with the Empress tarot card, but she's also love and compassion and all those beautiful Venus things, because she corresponds to Venus. So if you think of her as the mother, that's just one archetype that she can be connected with. So I had to focus on singular, because I can't say, oh, well, you could also say that the Empress is the guardian or she's the protector. So I focused on what I thought was maybe most relevant and that people could identify with, which is the mother. And also because the emperor he's the leader, but he's also the father. So it's kind of like that archetypal marriage between the emperor and the empress. And I have to pull things out of the ether. There's no way that somebody comes and goes, okay, you're going to be 100% correct with this, and this is what you need to do. So it's kind of like opening your mind to universal guidance, prayer, asking for what will help people. Whenever I write, I don't write because I'm like trying to write. I'm writing because I'm trying to be a guide to help people learn. So I'm trying to see, how can this help people learn? How can they identify with this archetype? What archetype will they identify with the most? And so, I mean, nothing has come out of just it's time and experience. Time and experience. That's where it comes from.
I really like what you said on in your book on page 61 when you said, why should the different archetypes matter to you? Because understanding them enables you to have a more penetrating insight into human nature and a view of what's going on in its infinite depths. And I really found that to be insightful because people, when I started, I really am just, archetypes have always been kind of a hard thing for me. But this was really eye-opening, and it's like that some of the things that you put in here are just, they hit you to a point where you're like, it gives you that aha moment. And you have quite a few of those in here. And I noticed you put in one of Carl Jung's concepts that that it refers to an experience or universal mental pattern that's expressed in a person's way of experiencing the world. And I really enjoyed reading that as well. I find his books are really powerful. And yeah, you have quite a bit of information on archetypes in here that really helps to understand how they work and how they help you to understand the cards, the runes, and being able to put those into a human experience instead of just a picture or a word.
Well, I would like to tell you that your description of them is very inspiring, and it helps people understand. So you have a really good grasp of the archetypes. And the one thing I would really like to do, the reframing or changing one perception. You said that you find them very, I think you said difficult or hard. I can't remember, but
For
people
me,
who replay it, they'll hear it. And don't ever do that. Don't say
right.
that, because then you're holding on to the
Ah,
challenging aspect. So you want to, and I'm going to tell you right now, what you just said is so purely right on target. You really understand them well and what their purpose is. So you are never allowed to say that you find them challenging. And to reframe it to,
absolutely.
I am becoming really clear about the power of archetypes, where I am is always like really good with
I
affirmations or
am.
intention. I am
Yes.
becoming a teacher of archetypal language. That's one for you.
I am becoming a teacher of the archetype language. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always frame
Because
it
giving yourself
positive.
permission to grow, we're all someplace where we need to grow, but to give ourselves like the green light is super important to like to know,
Yes.
like I am learning this. I can do this.
Positive
And
self-talk is very important.
mhm, we are what we think. We are what we think. So we want to think that we're really good at what we're doing, and we're open-minded to growing, but we can also be very beneficial and helpful to people who need the information that we share.
Right.
Kooch, you've been a member of the guild for a long time. Can you believe we've hit 20 years? 20 years. Oh my gosh.
I've only been a
That's
member for 3.
well, when you hit year 22, I think you need to like, man, like just to have like firecrackers going off in the background, and we're gonna all be there to like celebrate the magic of the 22. And
Yes.
it's awesome that
Master builder
you've
number.
done this.
Yeah, everybody gets excited by 20, but really you haven't done anything, created anything if you haven't hit 22, because that's the master builder number. Yes. Dan in chat said that was awesome advice you gave, Kooch, about, how to reframe things like that,
Yes.
And let's see, Charlotte, one of our hosts, she said, good to see you again, Kooch. You may not remember me from back when, but I've been looking forward to this show. Yeah, she used to tune into your show on our network, all the time, going back all those years. Yes. And wanted to say hi to Tiffany that came in. And let's see, Maria came in. There we go. You got more questions, Michelle?
So, can you give us an example? Let's see, I'm trying to find one out of your book of
Wait,
putting all.
wait, Kooch didn't know there was going to be a test.
Oh, pop quiz.
Just kidding.
Can you give us an example of all three together? The a room.
I'm going to point to illustration on page 57.
Okay.
And it's a super example because the sun is the circle, with the circle's the wheel of life, and it's a symbol of continuation and ongoing infinite evolution. And the dot, if you just look at a dot represents in different traditions, the dot represents like the center point of the universe. So here's the sun, which is the center of our universe, the symbol for the sun. And then we have the tarot card, the sun. I mean, literally, it's the sun.
Oh.
So there's a tarot card called the sun. So here we have the symbol for the sun, the tarot card for the sun. And then we have the wonderful, beautiful Gai Fu, which is good connections, positive energy. So these are like, they all correspond in meaning, and if you're doing readings, it's like the sun, and the sun is the foundation for understanding how to interpret those symbols or the card.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And you have those all throughout the book. And I noticed there's exercises all throughout the book that I really enjoy.
Always good. Always good.
Exercises?
Oh, exercises.
Yes.
Yep.
I think good books always have like the first one I think is on page 55, a daily exercise. And it's not very long.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that in all of her book. And this one is about.
I'd have to like refresh what's on page 55, but my guess is that to take a card and a stone and the astrology symbol and put them all, like in a row, and then just kind of like pay attention and look at the meaning of the astrological symbol and see how it weaves into the meaning of the tarot card and the rune, and just have dialogues back and forth with those symbols. And if you do that daily or 2 days or 3 days in a row, you really start understanding how you can read 3 different oracle systems in a similar way. I mean, they all have their unique differences, but there's like an underlying thread, which is the archetypes and the astrological foundation that's within all of these systems. So if you take out just one a day and play with those symbols and associations, you start building a library, a psychic library, that all of a sudden you can work with 3 systems instead of only one.
I always say it's like learning a language and putting it in your subconscious mind. And all of this all of what we're talking about now dovetails nicely into a question that we got in the chat just now from Aloha Jay. Hey, Jay.
Hi, Aloha, Jay.
Good to see you. And his question was, where did the origins of tarot and runestones come from? Well, it's important to realize what's going on here with these different systems. So you got astrology that goes all the way back to Mesopotamia. You've got tarot cards coming out of Italy, and then you've got runestones coming, they're Nordic, coming out of that part of the world, and all in different time periods. But because each one of those systems talks about universal concepts like the archetypes we were talking about earlier, there's going to be crossover. Okay. But that was his question. Where did the origins of tarot and runestones come from? So there you go, Jay. I hope that answers you. But what do you got to say on that topic, Kooch?
Well, I'll say that there's a whole chapter that introduces the backgrounds and talks about their differences of where they originated.
Perfect.
So it's more than a 2-minute conversation, but they have very different origins. But as Dax just said, and what weaves everything together throughout the book is the foundation, the astrological foundation, and the archetypes that are associated with that. And archetypes are a universal, it represents like a universal symbolic set of associations. So to try to simplify that, if we're talking if we were alive in 12,090 and we were talking about mom and my mother challenges, and why does my mother make me go out and fetch the water? Why can't she have dad do it? But we're talking about mom and my conflicts that I'm having with my mom. That's in 12,090. So now we come up to 2025, and let's talk about my mom and my conflicts with my mom. The mother is the archetype. She exists throughout our eternal existence because she's the giver of life. She has the womb and gives birth to people. We all understand the concept mother. That's why it's an arca, which is, it arcs over all of us, a type. She's a huge type that throughout all of human history, everybody has a mother. So we can all dialogue about mother and have some understanding of how our understanding of mom crosses over with your understanding of mom. And that's what makes an archetype, because they're universal. Everybody can relate, and it doesn't matter time, place, or situation. If you're talking about your mom, I'll get an understanding because I have a mom. And so
across all cultures.
And then you connect it to the mother in the tarot cards, or Bork in the tarot. It's like, well, that's Venus, and Venus is also, well, I don't know, there's so many different concepts of Venus and deities that go with her, but we all get the concept and understand the archetype of mother. That's what makes it special.
Yes.
Awesome. So I see it's 37 past the hour. Let's take a quick short break, because I wanted to mention that, talking about Tarot de Amor, we actually have a Valentine's show coming up. It's going to be on Wednesday the 12th, so a couple days before Valentine's Day. We're going to talk about couples numerology and love spreads, and we'll have to plug Kooch's book.
Yes.
Absolutely. I also wanted to mention that you can join us on the show if you are a member. That's right. One of the perks, we call them our coffee socials. And what that is you joining us on the Zoom call, like Kooch and Michelle and I are right now on camera, or you can just do audio if you just want to do audio. You can even call into the shows. If you need details on that, just contact me. So it's every Wednesday. We just started this last Wednesday. This is a new thing. We used to do the coffee social separate on Sundays, and now we're combining them with our show. So there'll be a lot more opportunities. So every Wednesday, every second and fourth Sundays, every fifth Saturday, and every fifth Sunday too, for that matter. You can join us if you're a member of the guild, and you just go to the members group on the website, the group for guild members only. And I have a post in there that has all the Zoom links for all the upcoming Psychic Cafe live shows. Now, of course, this is not for other shows on the network where they are custom shows like Michelle's Mystic Corner on Saturdays. The first and third Sundays is the Angelic View with Maria and Ginger. It's not for those shows, at least not yet. But it's for our Psychic Cafe live shows. We used to do Mondays and Thursdays. Now we're doing just Wednesdays, but we're also doing the second and fourth Sunday. And, you know, when those fifth Saturdays and Sundays show up, like in March, there's going to be a fifth Saturday, and you'll be able to join us to go along with our Valentine's show. And of course, we'll be doing readings. You know, if you want a Valentine's reading, you can pop on. We have the month of love, not just Valentine's Day, the whole month of February, month of love. We're doing half off everything, half off membership, professional certification, courses, readings, and more. Let's see. And I think I have a slide that shows you those half off prices. Yes, here it is. So an annual membership, $39 instead of 78, right? You can get your certification for 69. I'm doing numerology reports for $47, and you get two because it's couples numerology. Now, if you don't have a relationship going on, or you can get a second one for anybody, family member, friend, your boss, coworkers, right? Or just give a numerology report to somebody else. So it's 2 for 1, $47. My readings are half price right now, $49.99. And my Tarot by the Numbers, Tarot and Numerology course is also half price. Normally $299. It's $149.50 right now. Go over to psychic.cafe/love, and you'll be able to grab all of these specials. Okay. So let's see. Back again.
All right.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to write this book? I mean, it sounds like you've been working on this
30 years.
Yeah.
30 years back.
That's
But
what I
I
was
was gonna
thinking.
say,
It's like it's all inclusive. It's like forever.
yeah. I mean, when I think my first draft of it was in the early 2000s, and then I did another draft, and I kept editing and improving. Writing is a work of love, and you don't do it unless you feel inspired to do it.
Yeah.
But what I would love to tell people, if there are people listening and they go, oh God, do I have to invest in another like Runestones? I want to show, can I just show my first deck of, my first deck, not my first deck, my first set of Runestones, as I was sitting on a beach and I started collecting shells. And I didn't spend money on my Runestones, but I had an ink pen and I just collected all my
Wow.
stones, and then I started like making little marks on them, and I still have my first. This is my
it's
first.
Beautiful.
And it's kind of like, it's really of the heart, because it was something that I was feeding my heart with, making these little marks on shells. But I didn't have to buy a set, and I was like all over like, oh my gosh, I can make my own runes. So if people
I've
have
never
access
heard of
to like
shells.
rocks, if bark from a tree, rocks, seashells.
But the shells idea is brilliant. I think we should all,
Yes.
especially if you live near the seashore, go down there, collect those shells, and you can make your own set. And all you got to do is, paint or draw on with an ink pen or something, the symbols. That is such a brilliant
I
idea.
love it. Yes.
I like that better
agree.
than stones, to be honest with you. I like shells better.
My husband bought mine. Mine are amethyst and
Oh,
quartz.
Oh, I love that. I love yours.
And
cool.
he got these for me. I
Beautiful.
love them.
So
You
are
did
you
a
an
great,
amethyst person? Are you an amethyst person, Michelle? It looks like you're an amethyst
yes,
person.
yes, very
And
much. That's that and Tiger's Eye
Mm.
are my favorites.
What's amethyst? Is that? Oh no, that's not January. That's
February.
it's February.
oh,
Yeah.
Ah,
Not my month, but my stone. It's one I'm connected to.
yeah.
So I also have my birth chart in the back of your book. I noticed you put a couple links, and I used the cafeastrology.com, and
they're a good one.
it spit me out a 42 page birth chart for myself. So that is also, there's a link for that, and it only took a few minutes, and that is in the back of her book. Um,
The link. The link is there.
it is. It's back here. I can't remember which page. I want to say it's 160. Wait, 188. I believe it's 188. And you just, if you don't know the time you were born, there's a little spot where you put unknown time. But if you know the time you were born, you really do want to put that in there
Mm-hmm.
because it does help. And ask for basic information, and you get all sorts of information on the house, the conjunctions.
I don't know how accurate my birth time is. That's what always gets me. I think it's 12:35 p.m. Yeah.
Mine's 1:53 p.m.
Oh, real quick, we have a question in the
All
chat,
right.
and I've got an answer, which is how do we get her book? Well, you go to psychic.cafe/stars, cards, stones. Yes, there's two S's right there. And I just put the link in the chat for everybody. You can just click it. And if you're watching this in archive, go to the replay of the chat and the link should be right there. Otherwise, just type this in your computer. Type in psychic.cafe/stars, cards, stones. It's going to take you right over there to grab her book.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions anybody has about astrology, runestones, tarot, or other cards? Pop pop them in the chat, folks, and we will ask Kooch. Also, Charlotte said dragon's blood is a stone that seems to resonate with me quite powerfully, besides being cool looking. And
Yes.
I said, well, I was born in the year of the dragon, so anything dragon, I'm there. you know. Purple, Dax, your favorite color. Oh, Charlotte also said that she has a dragon's blood set of runes.
Ooh, nice.
Very cool.
Yes.
I would just like to say that dragon's blood is very connected with the rune mythology. Like when
Oh,
you're reading about runes, it appears in different contexts, but dragon's blood is definitely something that is well thought of in rune societies.
mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay.
And I did want to
And
welcome Charlotte.
Michelle, I would also like to just point to Michelle and say she looks like a rune goddess. She
Rune
looks like the
goddess.
Morgana. She's got the like, oh, well,
You
here
know,
we are. We have the archetype of
Cooch,
the rune goddess on your show right now.
you know what's really
Thank
weird?
you.
What's really weird, Cooch, is as you were saying, I'm looking at Michelle and she seems like a rune. And as you were saying rune, in my head, I heard goddess. And then you said goddess. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm psychic. Yeah.
You are.
Well,
I'm telling you, Dax.
That was crazy. I was like, yeah, she looks like a rune goddess. And you said rune goddess. I'm like, okay. So Michelle, now you know your new thing.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I do. Yes,
And
I do.
I just wanted to say hello quickly to Charlotte that came in. Lorraine just came in. Lorraine said, hi, everyone. I just came across all of you lovely people. Welcome to the group. And by the way,
Hi,
uh,
Lorraine.
if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel, like the video, but subscribe so you can join us for all of our lives. You know, unlike other YouTube channels, we are heavy on the lives side versus, you know, static pre-recorded videos, which we want to do, you know, going into 2025, we want to do more of that. But, you know, we've always been we started off as a radio network and then radio, and I guess this is like TV, you know, here we are on video. And we started the video streaming about 3 years ago. And yeah, go ahead and subscribe. And let's see. I think that's it. I'm still waiting to see if we get any more questions for Kooch in the chat. Meanwhile, Michelle, if you have more questions, go ahead. We got another 10 minutes or so.
So let's take another look. Okay.
She's really gotten into this book, let me tell you.
I've been all over this book.
She's writing notes in the margins and
Oh yeah. So my favorite card has become the Tower. And I like on page 122 and 23, it talks about the Tower card. And I really like some of the things that were said in here. When it comes to the Tower, even, you know, events that unexpectedly shake someone to their core. However, counting your blessings can increase good feelings in spite of a crumbling belfry. So I really liked that because I kept getting throughout 2024, I kept pulling for myself the Tower card, and it's been, you know, it was a rough year. And that alone right there talks about gratitude, in my opinion. And, you know, counting your blessings. And I just did my show yesterday about gratitude in the face of tragedy. And so this card and your explanation, I found to be very, very confirming that gratitude is very important. And another thing you had said is, even if there are times when we must battle conflict in life, our way of dealing with a crumbling tower can make it a curse or turn into a blessing. And so what you do with your emotions really does make a difference. And gratitude, counting your blessings, when that Tower card comes up, as she said before, you know, you grab another stone, you mix it with that Tower card, you really dig into what you can change. And I kind of wanted your opinion on what you wrote about the Tower card.
In some traditions, well, a spiritual tradition that I follow or have followed many years at this point, it's the Tower is what brings enlightenment. Like if you keep everything rigidly standing and everything's perfect, there's stagnation. You don't have any reason to work. But when you fall from the tower, when you're having to deal with cleaning up your doo-doo because it's not working for some reason, you're shifting into new insights that enable you to wake up. And in my sacred tradition, my spiritual tradition, it's the tower that it opens the path between the 6th and the 7th chakra, meaning you can't go higher into like supreme consciousness unless you have dealt with all of the stuff that you need to like figure out how not to get hooked into. Because the towers, some people describe it as your ego is dealing with how you're stuck in your ego. So the tower is like the falling of your ego. And it's like, until we can awaken our awareness that it's not all about me, and how perfect I stand, and my tower is taller than your tower, or I've got a couple inches on, you know, whatever the tower means over your understanding. I mean, whatever the ego is, we have to break that. We have to be free of that to be able to transcend into a higher state of consciousness. So it can be extremely challenging, and none of us want to deal with fears, anxieties, depression, sadness, which can people relate the tower as the crumbling of how you see the good life. So who wants their good life to crumble? But if we have fallacies that we're disregarding, or we think we're so perfect, but we're not really perfect, then we get stuck in a false illusion that blocks us from growing and evolving to a higher level of awareness. So the tower actually is very beneficial. And if you think of it as Mars, astrologically, Mars is the ruler of the first house of Aries on the zodiac wheel. It's the initiator. It's the butt kicker that gets everything in motion. So you need that like Mars push to like be active and fiery, and you know you're in a state of combustion where the phoenix can rise.
Right. Okay. Nice. And
So we can like the tower. We don't have to unlike the tower, but
exactly.
it can be difficult. But
The tower's not always negative. It just depends on.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. I picked up my tarot deck. look, look what card was on the bottom of the deck. The tower card.
That is awesome.
Is that the universe winking at us or what?
That is fantastic.
Yeah, you know, if it doesn't mean sudden, unexpected something, you know, I usually a lot of times find out that I get the tower card when there's a shift in foundation. So you've changed some beliefs, uh, things that no longer serve you, even relationships that no longer serve you, you know, which are major shifts in your body, in your life. So, you know, yeah, it doesn't have to necessarily be negative. And all the cards are that way. All the cards have a spectrum of meaning, you know. You can find negative things in the sun card, for Christ's sake.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh
know.
yeah.
Anyway, okay, so everybody run out and grab the book. By the way,
Yes.
I had something in the chat, and so I popped in the register link, and here it is for everybody else, psychic.cafe/register to join the new website. It's free to join. It's like joining Facebook. You get a profile, and it has all the features that social media websites like Facebook has. It's like Facebook for everything tarot and psychic and numerology and astrology and everything. That's right. Come on over and join. And don't forget, you can grab Kooch's book at Stars, Cards, Stones. I was going to put and Stones, but that was like so long. You know,
Right.
long of a link there. I'll put that in one more time in the chat for everybody so they can go over and grab Kooch's book. But we are about to run out of time. That's what it looks like, folks. Stars, cards, and stones. Thanks for joining us, Kooch. Before we leave,
Yes. Thank you.
before
thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you both so much. It's been so much fun.
great having you on again. We have to have you back just to chit chat
Yes.
out and do another, you know,
No, have me back to help people figure out their astrology chart in relation to tarot cards and runes.
Yes.
Ooh, let's do that. Let's do a whole
Yes.
thing.
She could walk us
That can just be
through this.
focusing on people's
Yeah.
charts and helping them figure out, like, you know, like the key points of their charts in relation to tarot.
Yes,
good
that
at
would
that.
be
We
fantastic.
can do like a mini workshop and have all the members come for that.
Mhm.
Let's
I
do
can have,
Yeah.
I'll have my chart. I'll print
Yep.
out Dan's chart, and Dax, you can print out your chart. It'll be fun.
It'll be great demos for people. It can be demos for people, but also if we can just focus even on sun, rising, and moon,
Yeah.
that's just a little tiny little bit, or focus on the cardinal points on the chart to kind of like show you where your major cards are.
I mean, I definitely want to learn more about this stuff. I'm tarot and mostly tarot centric, but I use numerology in conjunction. And on these shows, I'm always saying, yeah, I'm not an astrologer, but he might be a Taurus. And, because that's the only thing I know is sun signs, so I just throw that stuff out. But Kooch, before we go, because I know you always have some iron in the fire. What are you working on now? Because I know you are. You can't fool me. I know you're working on another one.
I have I have a new astrology deck coming out this fall.
No way.
Yay.
An astrology deck. That is really cool.
It really is cool too. It's very cool, but
I
I
can't wait.
cannot wait.
Oh, well, we got to
it's
have
kind
you
of
back
been
to talk about that. Yeah.
it's been a secret up until now. It's been pretty much a secret.
Well, it's still a secret because it's only
It's
our
still a
viewers
secret.
that get to
Yeah.
know, and yeah, let's do a whole show on that and interview you about that. And especially, maybe
But
right around when it's coming out.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very
See, and
cool.
All right.
I feel that this is all divinely led, because when I started at joint at StarCon, I met some gals and they were asking me my moon sign, and I'm all, I don't know. I know what my sun sign is. That's it.
I'm a
And
Gemini. That's all I know. Well,
right,
I think I might be Virgo rising or something. But anyway,
I'm a yeah. So,
I am
but
totally ignorant. You
now,
have to teach us, Cooch.
yes, and I started learning, and then I got your book, and it's like I have learned so much. So
Charlotte's
thank you
super
for
cool on this
helping
astrology
us.
deck.
Yes.
Charlotte is very excited in the chat. Is that going to be like, how many cards is that going to be? Is that going to be like an oracle type deck?
There are
It's not going to be a tarot deck.
48.
It's not going to be like 78, right?
No, it's going to be 48.
Oh, perfect.
48 cards.
Nice.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear about that one. Well, we got to get out of here. Thanks so much, Cooch.
Okay. Thank you both
Thank
so much.
you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank
Thank
And
you.
we'll set
you.
up some workshops with you and everything. Bye, everybody.
Cool.
Don't forget to join us on Wednesday. Charlotte will be with us, me, Charlotte, and Michelle, and we'll be doing, romance readings, couples talk about couples
Yes.
numerology, and we'll give you some love spreads to use too. Bye, everybody.
Yes.
Bye, Michelle.
Bye.
Bye, Cooch. Yay, we're out of there.